Hi, I'm Emily Winter, and I'm going to be talking about selective attention bias. First, I will introduce selective attention bias, then I'll go over some background studies, and then our study's hypothesis, participants, materials, procedure, results, and discussion. Selective attention bias is also known as intentional blindness, and this concept is that people struggle to attend to multiple stimuli at the same time with complete awareness. So it explains why we overlook things in many situations. So we will study this so we can understand why selective attention bias occurs and how it can be minimized, and then also see if past research about this concept is contingent with current research. So Simon and Chabrice did a study in 1999 in which they looked at people who were watching a video of multiple people passing a basketball. There were people in white shirts and people in black shirts, and their task was to count the people in white shirts passing the ball. In the middle of this basketball activity, there was a gorilla that walked through the middle of the scene, stopped in the middle, thumped his chest, and then continued on. And we found that many people did not notice this gorilla. And we are going to repeat this study to see if it is the same for college students. Another study similar to this was also done by Simons, and Bredemeyer, another worker in the psychology field, and they studied people who watched a video with L's and T's bouncing around a screen, and these L's and T's were in white and black again. People were to count the ones in white colliding with the wall, and at this time there would be a gray cross that would float across the screen, and they were to see if people noticed this gray cross. Another similar study by Drew, Vo, and Wolf studied people who were looking at lungs, and they were counting the nodules in lungs, and there was an invisible gorilla among the lung nodules. They found that experts in the radiology field would notice the lung nodules and the invisible gorilla more often than people who had not learned about lung nodules until doing this study. So in our study, we are going to see if past research is consistent with our research. College psychology students may notice the gorilla more or less than the general population, but our hypothesis is that many students will fail to notice the gorilla in the invisible gorilla test. So our participants were lower division psychology students in a small liberal arts college in Southern California. There were 19 female students and 2 males, 2 which were juniors, 3 sophomores, and 16 freshmen. Their average age was 18.81 years, and most of them were undeclared, some psychology majors, others neuroscience majors. The materials used were paper and pen or pencil, which the students provided, and then also a selective attention test, which was a YouTube video created by Simon and Chabrice. The procedure was that students walked in, saw the video on the screen, the professor asked them to take out a piece of paper and pen or pencil. Then she warned us that the speed of the video was pretty rapid, so we are to pay attention, and then she hit play. We watched the video and followed the instructions that said to count the number of times the ball was passed among the people wearing white shirts. And after the video, the papers were collected that said how many times we had counted the ball being passed. Once the professor had collected all the papers, she asked how many people had noticed the gorilla. She then counted the people that raised their hand, and then also noticed that some people had already seen this video, so therefore they were biased, and she recorded the number of people who had and had not noticed the gorilla upon their first time watching the video. So the results of our study were that approximately 15 passes were counted, as seen in the median and mode. The mean was 15.27 passes with a standard deviation of 2.43, but the number of passes recorded was between 8 and 22. The number of people that noticed the gorilla ranged from, 10 people did not notice the gorilla and 11 did notice the gorilla. So what this all means is that since there was variation among the number of passes people counted, that this task was definitely demanding for them as far as attention goes. And since approximately 50% of people failed to recognize the gorilla, we can say that selective attention bias did occur. So inattentional blindness does occur in college students just as it does among the general population. Some things to notice is that the gorilla may not have been salient per se, so it could have been too dark, not the right color, maybe we could have changed something to make it more obvious. Or object search or image search is another problem. People often looking for a certain type of object, so since the gorilla did not match what they are looking for, as in like the basketball, then many people did not notice it. So some limitations of our study are that our sample was relatively small and limited to a single class, so we cannot say that it is really representative of the entire college student population. Finally, selective attention bias was recognized by many studies and is consistent with ours. We will continue studying it for priming, practice, and test difficulties effect on it, and learn to eliminate selective attention bias. Thank you.